There lived a man who always felt like he was born in the wrong place. Not because of hate, not because of pride, but because the world inside him was too wide for the borders around him. He grew up in a home where prayers were a way of life, where faith was strong and questions were few. Everyone around him believed with full hearts, and for a time so did he. But deep inside, from a very young age, he began to feel something different, a quiet thought that asked, "Is it possible the truth lies somewhere else?" He never shouted that thought. He didn't argue or try to change others. He just listened to the voice inside him, and little by little started following a different path, one built on reason, not rules. There were no words back then for what he felt. He didn't know people like him existed. He thought he was the only one in the world who didn't fully believe. So he learned to live in two parts. One for the world, respectful, kind, careful, and one for himself, honest, curious, and free. A life told in quiet reflection, not to be praised, but to be understood. As a child, he used to believe something strange, that he would never get sick, never grow weak, never die. It wasn't from movies or stories, it was just a feeling. Like there was something inside him that could never be broken. Even now, with gray in his hair and weight of the years on his shoulders, that feeling still glows somewhere inside. He spent most of his life surrounded by others, but often felt alone in thought. And yet, when he was among people, especially women, he had a way of making them laugh, feel at ease, feel seen. Not because he chased attention, but because his energy was light, kind, and welcoming. He treated people with comfort instead of pressure, and in return many felt close to him, some even deeply. There were moments in life when new connections appeared, bright and full of potential, but the world around him was not built to support such paths, and so he quietly stepped away, never holding anyone back, never asking for more than they could give. When a door didn't open, he didn't knock twice. He simply moved on with respect, but without regret. He had dreams, not of fame, but of freedom. Not of being rich, but of belonging. He imagined himself in another world. Maybe a scientist, maybe an actor. Maybe just a man living in a place where thoughts were not punished, and laughter didn't need permission. He never left his country, but he lived as if his heart had always belonged to another land. One where people chose how to think, how to live, how to love. Through books, movies, music, and late-night skies, he tasted pieces of a culture he could never touch, a culture that valued kindness over control, and curiosity over fear. Now, in the later chapters of his life, he walks with peace, not because life gave him everything, but because he accepted what it could not give. He still works, he still carries responsibilities, he still makes people laugh. But deep down, he knows he carried a fire that few ever noticed, a gentle brilliance that was never put on stage but still lit the space around him. There lived a man who didn't shout to be heard, who didn't fight to be loved, who didn't force anyone to understand him. He simply lived, fully, quietly, deeply. And maybe, if the world had been just a little different, he would have been known, celebrated, remembered. But even if he wasn't, he still left behind something rare. A life lived with truth, a heart full of care, and a spirit that never gave up on its own light.